This is the Dog Savant Podcast with your host, Brett Endies.
Hello, everybody. This is Brett. This is the Dog Savant Podcast, episode number 6. Today we're going to talk about my past week. I actually shot the first season for my show, The Untrainables. It's going to premiere on September 1st, this coming Saturday on Facebook Watch. If you go to the Pet Collective and subscribe, there'll be soon its own channel for the Untrainable show. I'd love to have your full support, everyone watching this, and I really think we got some good content there that's really going to help a lot of dogs and their owners. So with that said, I'll talk a little bit about that in this podcast. Before we move on, just want to remind you, please subscribe to this. We're just on iTunes now. We have a YouTube version, both video and audio version will be on Vimeo. All over the map, so there's plenty of ways to listen. So share this with your friends. Give a review, subscribe, like. That's the only way other dog owners are going to find, and we'll be able to help as many people as possible. As for me, I am Brett. If you are new to this show, this is the Dog Savant Podcast. I'm a dog trainer, severe problem behavior specialist, and I also work in puppy development, and I can also do some basic obedience. Doing this for 25 years, training owners. I find that after doing this as long as I have, a big part of this is getting owners to be consistent, teaching them to follow through, which may be second nature for me because I've done this for so long to make sure this happens for actual owners when they're on their own. So we talk a lot about that, different subject matter, different behavior problems, different case studies. This is only episode 6. I've done some podcasts in the past, but this is going to be more of a supplement to my Untrainable show and other items that I'm, putting out there, more videos. Oh, and I also have a new Patreon account. So if you go to my Patreon, it's patreon.com/The Dog Savant. That's TheDogsavant. And, if you like, please support in any way you can. That'd be great. It just keeps me going where I can do more of this supplementary content in addition to just working with my individual clients. So there's that. That's the business end of things. Let's talk about last week. It was freaking awesome. Someone said they like the show, but I have to look at the camera more, so hopefully I'm doing good with that. And I shouldn't be swear wording or using swear words as much. I'm from New York. I try to talk the way I normally talk to anyone in my life. I don't want to put on some kind of act of being something that I'm not. That's even what I tried to be in my show. I don't want to overly use curse words because that's not really going to make a good point. But I talk the way I talk. I'll try my best to be a little more aware of it, but I will definitely look into the camera because I want you to be engaged and feel that I am helping you. I don't want you to think I'm talking to anyone. I'm talking to dog owners, to people who might need my help, to may have tried other types of training and didn't get anywhere, and they want something new and refreshing as a way to address their dog's behaviors. And that's what a big part of this podcast is going to be. We're going to talk a lot about these subjects. So last week I shot 12 episodes of my series, not mine, but series I did for a network, Juke Media, which is going to be one of Facebook's first official shows related to pets and dogs, other than like cute cat videos. This is actually on their Watch platform, which is kind of like Netflix. They're getting into the whole viewing TV type thing. So this is going to be great. This is the people who did the producer did the Hell's Kitchen show, did I think Amazing Race as well, a bunch of others. So these are legit. It was such a cool production. It was real professional people, really supportive people, exciting. It was a lot of me I had to give, so I'm exhausted, but it was really, what we did was they casted dog owners and, people with different problems and interesting people with different personalities. And they would come, they rented a house for the set, and we would meet them and we would just go through. And it was really similar to when I would work with my one-on-one clients. What I really appreciated and why I was willing to sign on to this was because they gave me complete freedom. They were like, just do what you do. Maybe we'll, tell you a different way to explain something so the viewer can understand it better. But other than that, it was pretty much full freedom on whatever I wanted. And they caught it and they said they got, tenfold the footage they needed because I tend to be thorough. And I think we got a good show. It was really awesome. There were some really interesting owners that we were, they cast. So a lot of it was a theme. A lot of it were like smaller dogs with a lot of these leash-related, anxiety-based reactivity issues that I talk a lot about. It's dogs that are not having a structured enough relationship or enough direction, or the owners being too emotionally based in the way they interact with their dog versus taking that as a secondary approach to the more kind of, again, relational needs and the needs of leading the dog and, being more a step ahead of them, where some dogs just have, a requirement for that kind of leadership training, whatever you want to call it. I also, Jordan, I'm getting closer to the mic, buddy, because I know you said stay closer to the mic. That's my producer, Jordan's feedback. Look, and I do want feedback from you guys. The more you tell me what's good, what's not, if you want to ask me more questions, ideas for the show, don't be a jerk, but definitely constructive criticism is cool. I'll take that, and I like your support as well. So anyway, so we shot the show. I don't want to get into I can't really talk about the details, but basically a theme. 11 out of the 12 dogs were on harnesses, even the larger dogs that came. We were joking towards the end that we should rename this show or have it as like a subtitle, the Throw the Harnesses in the Garbage Show, because they were all contributing to the issues, the pulling, the overprojection. And I talked about in my walking episode, which I think was podcast episode 2, where that directly, when a dog is overprojecting and you're pulling back on them, you're creating more stress on their body than teaching them how to just walk properly and build that focus and attention to promote loose leash, walking without reactivity and that pulling, forging ahead attached. So that was a big part of it. A lot of it was addressing the owner emotions. Some were better at handling the news I had to break to them than others, which made the show, I think, had interesting. I think there was some moments that, especially when they end up editing it, it's going to look pretty dramatic and, like, hey, owner, you've got to change for your dog to change. And that's a big theme of it as well. Understanding the dog for the dog's sake and sometimes leaving the human end of the leash, our needs out of the equation until the dog's needs are properly met on all levels, both daily, logistically feeding, walking, care, but also relationally, training-wise, the right exercise, nutrition, all that too. So that's something that we addressed a lot as well. How much they're going to use for each episode. They're going to be short. They're only about 5 minutes, I guess, because it's for the new viewing platform and people have a very short attention span. But this is also, if you guys support this, will lead into, they're pretty confident that this is going to get, picked up for more episodes, and maybe we'll be able to do longer, more detailed cases, because they're going to do what it was as we met with them. And I'm trying to do in one 5-minute episode what I might do over the course of a month with a client. So we really had to condense, and I think they're so good at editing, they'll give the key points needed to get the idea. But it's going to be, a start to finish where I worked with them, we did what we had to do, we addressed issues, did some actual training, worked with the owner, and then had them follow up. So they're actually following up, a week later to just see how the progress is made or no progress. There was a case, where we couldn't really get the results we were looking for. This is a realistic dog training show. It's not, these shows where it's an actor or actress or, I know for a fact, I hate to say it because I had a thing with I was going to do a show for Nat Geo last year, and I was working with the business manager who also works with Cesar Milan, and yeah, he's a trainer and he knows his stuff, and I give him respect and credit for the message he's pointing out, especially compared to a lot of the info that's out there. But he would have assistant dog trainers helping him on set to get some of these results where, it was a little more contrived. And we're like, well, that's good, but let's show the process. Let's talk about what's not working. Even if the dog trainer, I had an incident where my dog wasn't listening that well for a moment, and we may portray that Bowie was so distracted by something, and, hey, I had to make him listen. And that's good. It's not all perfect and sunshine and roses, but it's also about growth and addressing, what we can do better, whether it be the dog's improvement, our improvement. Criticism isn't a bad thing. It's, as long as it's constructive and it's clear and the potential is always met at each step of the journey, whatever you're trying to improve upon or learn, dogs, people, children, all that's good. And we've kind of lost that skill on every realm, including us as humans. So anyway, I hope that makes sense, but there's a lot of retiring harnesses, a lot of transferring to collars, training collars, martingales, things like that. A lot of place training. As far as, the experience I had, it was really cool. It's a team. Me as being like a lone wolf guy who works, one-on-one with clients, I'm pretty much on my own running a business in front of a client doing my thing, then I'm back in my own space. So this you're working in conjunction with cameramen, soundmen, producers, makeup people, all this is all coordinating. It's, it's cool. You get in the groove, you get a good vibe and rapport going. And towards the last couple days were pretty awesome. We were getting, knocking out the episodes. everything was good. I was flowing, saying some good lines, having some good moments that I think would make good, not just to learn, but also interest. People have to have their attention held, especially viewers that have a struggle with that because they have to learn. So we're trying to that's why we're having a short format. But really good stuff. Sorry, I'm looking here at the mic. I know I should be looking at you guys. But I'm excited. I can't wait to see the response. I know there's going to be trolls. I've already been prepped for it. I'm not even going to respond. I'm not even going to look, honestly. So, you can troll me. That's fine. You can tell me what we're doing is mean. It's not purely positive. I think we hit it from all angles again. We used treats. We used different methods. We talked about why certain dogs would need a harness, why it wouldn't be helpful for others and was causing the issue. Everything was transparent. Only owners were the hardest thing for some of the owners was their emotional change because they want to baby their dog, but nothing we were asking them to do training-wise, tools, styles, rules, whatever it was detrimental to their dog, and they realized that. So anyone that's having a different perception, good, say what you need, but I think really there's a benefit to this. And why do I speak strongly about the way I do it? Because I've done this long enough to trial and error a lot of different things myself, and more importantly, talk to a lot of unrelated dog owners, which is always what drives me to talk about things. And I did all my videos about the Purely Positive Challenge a couple of years ago and all that. I only do that because of all the unrelated people who tell me the stories of what they've done from multiple trainers or the vet, and it's always this kind of thinking that doesn't foster growth. And I get it. There's an older kind of training that was rough, alpha rolling the dog, all this stuff, and that's great. People can do that. I don't think the dogs are going to be traumatized. I think there's more skillful ways to connect with a dog, and my training is different. I apply balance techniques, purely positive techniques, Reiki therapy techniques, some of the Caesar stuff. It's a combination, and more than anything, training the owner to understand their dog and create the structured life for them. So explaining this may be a little too much, and I don't think I'm going to convince people who have a certain headspace where they're the ones who take issue. But the small minority, it was one of my fears. Admittedly, we'll talk frankly. I was scared to get myself more out there. That's why I kept from doing videos. I felt like the few people I was helping, it wasn't worth the stress it was causing me, because I have many clients in the real world who are so happy with what I do. It wasn't, I was like, well, I'll just focus on that and make my living. And I have a message that can help dogs beyond that, but I just didn't. And this opportunity is now kind of giving me more, empowerment. These people are all supporting me. Facebook themselves are backing me on this. Juke and media, they're all been great, and they believe in this, and they saw it with their own eyes for 5 days, 12, 14-hour days, 12 episodes. They're editing me, so they're watching this every level, good, bad, and ugly, and they want more of it. So I think if people who are going to be most sensitive to criticism see the merit in what's going to do and its ability to help dogs. I only wish more people that would have that criticism because of their own goggles they're seeing it through, would open their mind to that. I hope that makes sense. And again, I don't think I'm going to convince anyone. I just might help people understand why certain, especially if you're another trainer and you have to encounter these kind of people. I make fun of them. I say pretty harsh stuff about them from time to time, but this is the reality, and this is why, because it's not fun when you give yourself and you try so hard and you're doing something that is validated in the real world. And sometimes you get the internet community, a few, people who just have to say really horrible things in protest instead of maybe opening their mind and seeing the merit in what you do, or focusing on what they're doing and being good at that if that's the case. Anyway, so we get back on track. So we had the shooting. We wrapped up on Friday. They're doing a lot of post stuff now. I think they're following up with the clients this week as well, and they're going to have the first episode. They might even have a commercial out in the next couple days to kind of tease the actual series. And what's really cool is they have the Pet Collective, and if you go on the Pet Collective, they have 11.1 million followers on that channel. So what they do is they push those viewers, they because there's only a few other channels they're affiliated with, and there's only one other show, the Critographs. I met her too, nice lady. I'll probably be doing stuff with her. And she and they push. So for me, once the show gets launched, they're going to create again the Untrainables channel on Facebook Watch, and then they're going to shuffle. So I mean, I'd say they think projected anywhere from 250,000 to over 500,000, views or whatever, likes, however that works initially, and then it's just about building a base. And that's why I want to really, kind of supplement it with this podcast and other videos just to give you a better spectrum, not just the 5-minute shows, but a more in-depth, version of what I do. And we're going to have a lot more coming down the pipeline. So just stay tuned. The podcast, we just wanted to get these out there, start introducing myself to you on this, level, so you know who is the Untrainable guy. And I'm excited. This was the coolest experience, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it pans out when they release that first episode Saturday. So I think I've covered pretty much that. I mean, it was cool. We had food, we had some laughs. It was a lot of hard work. You give a lot of yourself. It's not I've worked longer days doing my job working with clients, but this you're giving something a little extra when you're with the camera, and it's great and it's rewarding and satisfying to have wrapped up a whole season. We cranked it all out, got so much footage, but I need today's technically an off day. I'm just hanging out here doing some back work with Jordan, and we figured we'd do a few podcast episodes. But and then it's back to business as usual. We got the new facility. Hopefully we'll be opening that soon. And again, thank you. Please subscribe to this. You can visit my website for more stuff. It's dogtrainingla.com. And my YouTube channel, I think it's youtube.com and / it's a Dog Training LA, I think. But you can go to my YouTube channel from my website, dogtrainingla.com as well. Thank you. Also, send in your dog training questions, video questions, Skype, whatever you have to do, social media, you can post it. And I want to answer. I want to do some more Q&A on this podcast as well. And I think that's about it. Thank you so much for listening, and take good care of your dog and train them well. Bye, everyone.